morning. I'm Mayor Tommy Roberts. Welcome back to the Mayor's Table. My guest this morning is City Manager Rob Mays. And Rob, welcome back.
It's good to be back with you, Mr. Mayor.
It's been a while since you've been a guest on the Mayor's Table.
It has been. You've had lots of good guests that are experts in their fields, and I've been enjoying the episodes lately.
We gave you a break. Now we've got you back.
All right.
We'll have you on several times here in the next few weeks.
All right.
Rob, this morning I want to revisit an incident that occurred in late January that involved an interaction between one of our Farmington police officers, Officer Hunter Weaver, and his interaction with an intoxicated person in downtown Farmington. Mm-hmm. Officer Weaver had been dispatched to this location in downtown Farmington to handle a call from a business owner regarding a street inebriate, somebody who was intoxicated and was in this business place. And so Officer Weaver responded, and what happened at that point is what I want to talk about. Mm-hmm. What gives rise to this incident, and it's gotten some notoriety in the press and in social media, was the fact that there was another individual who apparently observed some or a part of the interaction between Officer Weaver and the intoxicated person. And this individual's name is Ron Atzetti. Mr. Atzetti had a cell phone, apparently, and he took a photograph with his cell phone which portrayed the officer, Officer Weaver, standing over an individual who was lying prone on the sidewalk or the cement entrance to this business in downtown Farmington. And then Mr. Atzetti posted to his Facebook page a comment. Now, before I read what the comment is, I want to say that Mr. Atzetti has maintained that he did not have possession of his cell phone at the time of this incident, and that he maintains that he was not in Farmington at the time. But nevertheless, the cell phone was his, and the commentary and the photograph was posted to his Facebook page. I want to read the comment that was posted on this Facebook page. And then after I read that comment, I want to give you an opportunity to respond to it. Okay. The comment says, "Only in Farmington. Farmington police bears down Native American while cuffed. I had confronted his ass and told him you had violated his rights. He has no probable cause beating him, and I told him my app on video, and he was immediately released upon my request, but I told his lieutenant sergeant, and I think he is on paid administrative leave." And this concluded with the hashtag Stop Racism. So Rob, the clear express statement here, and if it's not viewed as expressed by our viewers, then it's very much implicit, is that this officer, Officer Weaver, had violated this intoxicated person's civil rights, that he had practiced racism, that he had beat him down, and had improperly handled his responsibilities as a police officer vis-a-vis this individual who was intoxicated. What's the real story?
Yeah. Well, you point out first, the writer of this claims that he witnessed a police officer beating someone, and then he actually goes so far as to claim that he rescued this individual, from the police officer, when saying, "I told him to release him," and when in fact this person had no contact with our officer whatsoever. So when this posting hit, it got seen by someone in the community that passed it on to our administration, and within about a 30-minute period, we were able to pull the lapel cam. So much like this, all of our officers have a lapel camera running, and anytime they are in any type of official interaction with community members, they turn that camera on. It was we were kind of ahead of our time on that. About 6 years ago getting those, and they've proven themselves to be very, very important, and never before, very important in something like this. So actually our officer arrived on the scene. The intoxicant was passed out in the floor of the entrance of the business. Our officer arrived and very compassionately helped get the individual out of the store. And then when he calls in on his radio with identification of who the subject was, dispatch informs him that there is a warrant out, or that this individual is not a warrant, but this individual has been trespassed from that business, which makes it a crime for that individual to go back to that business. He then proceeds to place him under arrest. And while he's talking on the radio, the individual falls down of his own accord and apparently hits his head. And then the officer proceeds to show great compassion and sympathy, and providing assistance to the person while he calls an ambulance, and then the ambulance comes and they treat him, and he's taken off. So you and I both have viewed that video, and it's pretty clear on what really happened.
I'm going to say again that we know these things because we do have the lapel camera video. It's a 14-minute long video. And as you indicated, I viewed it in full, you viewed it in full, and at no time during that 14 minutes was Officer Weaver approached by any other individual. He had no conversation with any other individual. So that contradicts the statement that appeared on this Facebook page, where it was expressly said that the individual contacted and addressed the police officer, and actually, as a result of his contact, the intoxicated person was released. In fact, this individual was not released. The officer summoned an ambulance. The video clearly shows the ambulance approaching and the attendants with the ambulance getting out and assisting the intoxicated individual and taking care of his immediate needs. So it's great to have these lapel camera videos.
So what it then transpired was that after the report came about this, the lieutenant on duty that night was able to pull that lapel camera, immediately investigate it, put out then a face post of our own from the PD, pointing out what really happened and telling if there's any citizens that are concerned about this, that they could come to the police station that very night and watch the video right then, or could of course request it and have a copy of it. And then subsequent to that, the Daily Times wrote a story on this subject and posted that video out for the public. And as far as I know, that video is still available for the public to view.
And why did we not just release the video?
Well, you know, that's always a judgment call. The thought behind that night was wanting to be very protect the dignity of the individual that they were arresting. We generally don't publicize names. If we're asked for them through a public records request, then obviously we'd make the video available. But the thought was to not put it out ourselves and wait for it to be requested. I think that's just kind of a judgment call, but we don't want to open ourselves up to criticism of someone maybe suggesting that we were trying to embarrass this individual, or because he doesn't look very good in the process of this. He's quite drunk, stumbling, and could be embarrassing to him. And they just generally try to protect the dignity of everyone they deal with, even the people they're arresting.
And we do want to encourage anyone who's viewing this segment of the Mayor's Table and who's interested in seeing the video to make a public records request through our city clerk's office. I think it will educate you. It will tell a much, much different story than what is told by this comment posted to this individual's Facebook page. And the police department immediately began to use social media to counter this erroneous, misguided commentary on the Facebook page. And I think that much of the damage was mitigated in that process. But nevertheless, this is an extremely important issue in my mind. This is an extreme case of abuse of social media with what appears to be the express intent to discredit a law enforcement agency. It's pursuing an agenda.
Yes.
And in demonstrating a will to lie and accuse falsely. And we're only fortunate that we had the lapel camera video, which disposes of these claims.
Yeah, and that frankly happens, Mr. Mayor, more often than we'd like to see. It isn't always quite as direct as this through a lie on social media, but it's not uncommon for citizens to report something very differently than the lapel camera later shows it to be.
And currently, we're in an environment, law enforcement, where there is a significant amount of conflict between police departments throughout the country and citizens that those officers do police. And so something like this can set off a wildfire of speculation and criticism. And here again, we're able to demonstrate that the claims that were made were demonstrably false. And I'm very happy that we were able to do that.
Frankly, so much so that both you and I both expressed commendation to this officer for how he handled a very difficult situation in a very trying circumstance. And he also received commendation from the police chief. So this couldn't be further from the truth how it was represented. I think that our citizens who have already seen this video, and again, I think it may still be available on the Daily Times website, I think any reasonable person observing this would actually not only immediately know this isn't true, but would actually be very impressed with our young officer and how compassionate and caring he was towards this individual.
Well, there's a number of reasons why I wanted to have this as a subject of a Mayor's Table segment, but really at the top of that list was to commend our officer. Officer Weaver demonstrated great control.
Yes.
He demonstrated great compassion for the individual who was intoxicated and down.
And not only that, the paramedics that arrived with the Selwyn Regional Medical Units and the firefighters that arrive on scene, you can hear the paramedics being equally as compassionate and caring for this individual.
The officer, for a period of 3 to 4 minutes, continued to try to gain the attention of the downed person, asking him to stay alert, not go to sleep, stay alert. He was concerned about the head injury and didn't want the individual to go to sleep. Yeah. And so he's saying, stay with me, and continued to have a conversation directed at the downed individual. So he showed great concern, great compassion. My thought after looking at the video was that our officer really demonstrated for new recruits the appropriate way to deal with this kind of situation, and I had great admiration for this officer as a result of viewing the video. So that's really the highest priority in terms of the purpose of this discussion this morning, is to credit Officer Weaver for a job well done. And he was subjected to some negative speculation initially. I think that probably was corrected in the due course of time, but there are always skeptics who remain out there. And if there are any out there, I would encourage you to request a copy of the video or access the Daily Times archives and access it there. But I think you'll find it very, very informative as to what actually transpired.
The only thing I'd want to add too is, and that's clearly the key point, but Lieutenant Malone that night that was supervising, within 30 minutes time got the full story out, got a response posted that told the real story. So he was very proactive, and I think that had a lot to do with a positive outcome and so many people in the public getting the right information quickly.
Rob, I want to thank you for being here this morning and helping me with this topic. Do you have anything else you'd like to add before we conclude?
I do not.
Once again, we want to thank all of you for tuning in to this segment of the Mayor's Table, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next Monday.